All right, it's 6 o'clock. I don't know if we want to start with a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I guess I can call for the approval of the October 26th, 2022 minutes.
So moved.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second. Oh, go ahead.
That's okay.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. Thank you. All right, I guess you could just, I made this agenda up, it was kind of left over, some things were from like last time, so if you want to jump in. We were talking about educating residents about fire safety, so you want to just tell us what you just mentioned?
Yes, we already had that,
Yeah.
pretty much that discussion. We formed a fire safety committee. Right now, we have 3 residents and a liaison. Pretty soon, we're going to have a liaison and 2 residents. Glenn was one of the people on the committee, and he's really stepped up. Essentially, everything is in the works, because the way to set it up, the cooperation of the people, timing. We have a lot of snowbirds in our facility, so arranging to get as many people as possible is, we're going to work on that. But if that's the fire safety committee is going to do that, and we're going to push forward to work more closely with Mike to get him in there with materials and ideas and inform the residents. With 337 individual people, it'd be like going to some subdivision, giant subdivision in Plymouth Township and saying, oh, your 337 people need to all come to this meeting, and then we'll see who shows up. But that's where we're at now. And as far as the next thing on the line was form the special needs registry.
Well, before you go that
Okay,
far,
go ahead.
I do want to jump too far.
Okay.
The information I sent you out, did you disseminate that? Was it good? What do you guys think of what I sent you?
Some of the things that we give it on our bulletin board and stuff like that. Yeah, we did publish a bunch of things that we put on the bulletin board. The ones that were put in the elevators, we have a person in both buildings that doesn't like things in the elevator, so they take, every time you put up a notice or an advertisement for something going on, they tear it down. It's unbelievable. Then we had a couple of non-Eagle fans who were taking a razor to the signs and just putting it across.
There's a frame that's on the wall,
Yeah.
and you can just take a 8x11 sheet and stick it in the frame, and for upcoming meetings or something like that. And I walk in, I go, what the hell?
Yeah, it's all blank. It's like looking in a mirror without your reflection.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe you needed some kind of little latch
little lock
door,
box,
a little
yeah.
lock, like they
Well, we
you
had,
see at the parks and stuff, where they can open it up,
Mhm.
put up the information and then lock it so people
well,
can't.
I think what they did was, because of COVID, they were trying to put as much information as possible up, so they just added them to the elevators. And I think some people are just reacting a little bit crazily.
That was the information that these guys actually asked for last time, of different fire safety tips, where there are videos, we can share, stuff like that. So I came up with a bunch of stuff for the holidays, shared it with them. I know I spoke with Ed, or actually an email I think it was, where he mentioned he's going to be taking that stuff and disseminating that. So I know they work with it. I don't know what Place One did. I don't know if you guys did anything with it at all, but we did send it out. Hopefully you share it with your residents too, and hopefully you have some use in it. So I think what I'm going to do is, I've already started working on, is doing another one for spring, like for spring, summer stuff. Similar to what we
Put in our newsletter.
put in our newsletter, but also include the videos, all those same things, more for, not for the holidays, but now for spring, summer, different kinds of other safety tips.
Don't barbecue on the balconies,
That's
that kind of stuff.
exactly
Yeah.
what I was thinking,
Yep.
barbecue
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
balcony.
That
that
we don't
will-
allow that at all.
You don't
It's-
either, right?
it's
You're not allowed. but
Against
just-
the
yeah.
rules completely.
Yeah.
We have a
So
centralized
something-
grilling station that's someplace safe that people can use.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
we have-
That's nice.
And we have an outdoor area that has picnic tables and 3 grills. And
Oh, that
So
is
what we can
nice.
do is work with you guys on, if we want share information like that,
Mhm.
what rules apply to your facility?
Okay.
So they understand, here's some fire safety tips for grilling
Mhm.
as applies to your place.
Right.
And you could also include in there that you're not allowed to do it on your own balconies and such.
Well, that's
Some
part of the rules.
Some other places,
Mhm.
people may not be aware of it. Your places, they should be. But
Yeah.
we want to keep that going. And I think that was pretty good. I mean, I like the information I got. That's why I was interested to see what kind of
Mhm.
feedback you might have gotten or what you guys thought of what we shared.
Well, what we're
And see if
doing
there's anything
now
more.
is we're, since 1974, 75, we're updating our amended documents. They're going to be restated, amended, and they have to incorporate rules on fire safety and stuff like that. And it all has to coordinate with bylaws and our rules and guidelines, and everything has to come together. And I think it all came out of the Pennsylvania Condominium Act. And we're just trying to update to reality. It's been a work in progress. One of the reasons why I'm not as available as I thought I was going to be is I've been rewriting stuff and looking into stuff, and now that I'm president, I'm back and forth with the lawyer over that kind of stuff. Because everything has to, if the bylaws state this, the amended documents have to state the same thing. The rules and guidelines have to state something similar, so everything has to mesh.
So we all have to jive.
Yes, it's been quite an interesting adventure.
The only guy that's making it out is the lawyer. No hard feelings.
No offense. No offense taken.
So that's the only one other thing I want to add in about the first one. So unless somebody else has anything, then yeah, go ahead with the second.
The second one,
They made progress.
We've gotten, I think, from what I heard from management, every single resident that has a person with special needs in their unit that will require help to evacuate, everybody responded to it. And
Great.
we've also let new residents know as they come in that they have that capacity. Where it's gone from management to giving you the information, I'm not sure. I'm going to be getting together with our unit manager tomorrow, and it's on my list to ask her where that's at, so we can actually you can have physical copies. We did have resident pushback that wanted their cats and their dogs to be put on the list because they can't get themselves out of the unit, and we had to.
Trust me, if there's a fire, they'll get out.
Oh, yeah. That's for sure. And I have a dog and 2 cats, and I didn't register them, so I'm okay with that.
Are
But
they
we
giving
did-
them names like Joe and
Well,
Amanda?
yes. Well, when you see Lincoln, Nixon, and Reagan, that's
They have
those
4
are-
legs?
Yeah, they all have 4 legs. So essentially, we weeded that out, and I'm surprised. I thought the registry was going to be shared, but so far it hasn't. And like I said, I'll be tomorrow with the management, and we'll get that started and get it over, at least an electronic copy, if not physical.
Going along with that, I actually do have a table, like you said, morphed out of what I already had started before. I've kind of paused on that now because I spoke with the county. Although their registry is gone, there are apparently remnants of it that they have, and there's a way that residents supposedly can go into something on their county website for their alert system. And then if you dive down deep enough, there's another spot where you can add additional information.
What department within the county?
Public safety.
Department of Public Safety?
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna,
The 911 center, right? That's-
Well, it's them, emergency management.
Well, yes, other things,
fire,
but that's where
police,
911
EMS.
comes out of public safety.
Yep.
Mhm.
but are they all under the supervision of the county commissioners?
Oh, yes.
Of
Oh,
course,
yes.
yeah.
Yep.
I have
So,
nothing against nagging county commissioners.
It's,
Is that the Montgomery County Department of Public Safety or?
Yes.
Okay.
so, I've already spoken to the one lady up there who actually handles that kind of stuff, and I said, well, they know it's gone away, but there's areas where they can still add stuff. and they may still have a lot of the old information. I said, well, let's resurrect that, let's get it back. I mean, it's probably outdated, but still, if there's some system out there, is there a way we can improve what the county had before and get that information out to the townships? Especially these people are signing up for the alerts on the county website. Like we have Code Red.
Yeah.
The county has their system for alerts. And they're still encouraging people to go out there and sign up for them. And there's a spot within there where they can actually put this information. She wasn't surprised when I said, well, they do you put in the additional information at the bottom. That's not shared with the municipalities. She wasn't surprised by that. So that's one thing we're working on with them, say, well, good, if they ever do put that additional information in at the bottom, share that with us. So we can reach out to them and make sure we get that
First
information
responders
too.
have it, yeah.
Not just for the two complexes we're talking about here, but just in general for the whole township. So there's actually an interesting progress with that and dealing with the county. So it's kind of really nice that we're actually making progress there too.
So the county is going to revitalize that?
No.
And they are not?
No, but I'm trying to get them to get the information that if somebody does put something in there, we can get it.
And did they give a reason why they're not going to maintain such a list anymore for our first responders?
I did not ask that question. They just said that it's gone, they don't maintain it anymore, and my focus that time was if somebody posts the information for their alert system, how do we get it?
Yeah, if somebody
That's where I was, when I was discussing with them, that's where my focus was at the time.
If somebody
Right,
posts it, will they share it? Like, so a fire comes up at my residence and I'm on the registry, would they tell that to the fire company when they hit the button for the fire company to go? They're
No,
not
and that's one of
sharing
the
it.
things we're trying to.
They're not even
work
sharing
with.
it. If somebody enters it on their own, they're still not sharing it. That's not good.
Right, because the whole purpose of that, the alert system they have is kind of like our Code Red.
Yeah.
It doesn't really get utilized unless we contact them and said,
And that's
put an
just
alert
sign up
out to
for it.
anybody in this range or this area, and then that's when they'll use their information. Kind of like our Code
Yeah.
Red system is. Unless we're putting an alert out or putting messaging out, that information
Just sitting there.
just sits there. So it's not really used by anyone until the need arises. I just want it so that people put information in, we can extrapolate that information out for our purposes if they add that additional information in.
Yeah.
Again, the purpose of that alert system is not for them to gather information on special needs. It's more for what information they need to put alerts out to the community for different kinds of activities, events, emergencies, etc. But since they can add additional information in there, if they ever do, I want that information. And they're very receptive to that, and we're going to be working with them on that.
Oh, that's
So
excellent.
we're going to kind of combine everything together.
Well, I'd be interested in finding out why they're not maintaining such a list. I don't know if it has to do with
Money.
privacy or money. Well, there you go. Why didn't I think of
I
that?
don't know, but that'd be my guess. It was usually
Yeah.
credits and all supplied
It
before,
usually
but
all
I don't
comes down to
know.
that.
Somebody's got to do it, and somebody has to get paid to do it.
Ultimately, we still, I think, need our own because we'll be the best at each, I think, township or borough is going to be the best at keeping their own records up to date as much as they can.
Yeah, but I would hope in this day and age that they could develop some kind of software program where individuals could access it and input the information they want known so that first responders know if this house down on Clover Lane is burning, there's a disabled person inside it who can't get out of bed, and you need to safely get in there and rescue
Well, that's
that
why I
person.
want us to get our own registry or keep our own
Right,
set of
because
records.
it's not just our
Yes.
high-rise buildings, but
No.
it's our
Oh, it's
individual
everywhere, yeah.
residents
No.
can be trapped in their homes.
Right, and that's why I don't want to rely on the county to, we need to do it ourselves.
Okay,
Now, from there, notifying the emergency responders, once we have that list, we can actually put stuff in what they call their county CAD, which is the system, the dispatch system that as fire trucks respond, police cars respond, EMS responds. Depending on what the address is, there's certain special notes. Plymouth Hill has that. There are certain residents there where we get dispatched there. There are certain notes where there are firearms kept in certain places. There are residents like that too. There are homes and other places where there's somewhere there's, I'm not going to say vicious dogs, but aggressive dogs. I remember seeing that. I forget which home that is. That's a home that's out there. That if you go there, it's just a
Beware.
warning note that as they're responding, they get the note that says, hey, just be aware. they're called caution notes. So when you get dispatched there, there's something going on.
My dog might lick you to death.
My dog would too.
Yeah,
My
but
dog
when
is a burglar. He'd show you where all the valuables
yeah.
are, which aren't many, but he's
That's
not
my
a
dog.
guard dog at all. But so there, like I said, there's good progress there. Steve, do you have any information? Do you have any updates? Did he provide anything for you, Police One?
There's on people with special needs. I mean, we keep that consistently across our portfolio, so we can pull a rent roll and tell you what that is in real time.
Okay. Is there any way of providing it ahead of time?
Is there something you can share, or is?
I don't know. I'll check with him. But turnover is our biggest challenge with that.
So
Yeah.
a unit that has a disabled person, special needs person today may not, next week may be a
Correct.
perfectly healthy, mobile person.
Right.
Next month.
So it's the continual challenge.
But I think it would still be good to have, if let's say the disabled person is no longer there. I'd much rather hedge on the err on the caution side and say, we'll treat it as if they are. If they're not there, great, fine. But if they still are, we'd like to have that list ahead of time. Because when an emergency happens, unfortunately, a lot of times management's not around, nobody who has those records are around. We need to have those things ahead of time.
yeah, we'll look at it.
So, yeah,
see if
if we
there's
get
a
a list
process.
again, we can do just
If
like
you're
we're doing for there.
keeping yours in real time, would there be a way, a limited way that first responders could access that? I mean, is it kept as a paper list or is it a software program?
It's in our property management system that we use to run our whole property, with financials and everything else in there.
Well, that's why I was wondering if it could be walled off so that
And
first
we'll have to
responders
pull out
only
a quarter list,
access
yep.
that information and not other private information that is none of their business.
Yeah, we'll have to look into it.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I agree with you, though, like, some list is better than no list. Like, even if you're erring on the side of caution, there was a person here that needs
I'll
help.
check the room in case,
Yep.
the apartment, yeah.
Yeah. So much of, now find out later on that we didn't get to somebody and they've been in there for a year, couple of years, something like that, because we don't have the list.
Yeah.
And it's good you guys have it in real time on the computers, but in most of the cases we've been there, unless it's a daytime thing, and even then you're evacuating the building, there won't be access to that list unless somebody has it outside.
Print up. yeah.
Yes. And usually responders, we're not waiting for somebody to look it up. We want to try and have that. Again, we caution notes, everything else, we can have that stuff in there too.
If there's a
But those are
system,
very helpful things.
if there's a system for sharing it too, maybe there's just something like, not to overdo it, but a quarterly update or twice a
Something like
year
that,
or
yeah.
something, right? I
Something
mean,
in there. If with their data, maybe you just have a report that comes out of that where we don't want financials, we don't need any of that. Just the special needs, a simple list of
Yeah,
who, those kinds of things, who apartments, and then what their special need is.
Yeah,
I think
well,
that's what yours came down to, wasn't it?
Yes.
You just kept basic information.
Basic information, name, that they required assistance getting out in case of a fire. Just to make the fire company aware, or rescue workers aware of what units have a special needs person. Very simple.
And I don't think we went back and forth to say what the special need was, and we decided not to do that. The fact that you have a special need.
Just that I need
Um,
assistance
if-
getting out, I
yeah.
can't get out on my
Right.
own.
If
Right.
you include some kind of details, though, or some kind of information on what that need is, though, because that's going to be helpful to us as emergency responders. Is it a mobility problem?
In most cases,
Is
I
it
would say.
an
that-
Yeah,
oxygen-related problem where they need certain things to go with them?
Or electricity, right?
Yes, yes. We
Or-
need to know who may have certain.
Machines hooked to electricity when
Yeah.
power goes
Correct.
out.
We will
Things
need
like
to know
that.
what the special need is,
Okay.
so we can make sure we're ready for it when we get
Oh, and
there.
some of those people have those home dialysis kits too.
Mhm.
All kinds of things.
And that has to
This
go
is
with
not-
them
We have
because they have
people
to do
who
it
need-
every day.
Yep,
See?
we have that. We have people who might need
What do we
oxygen.
got?
So again, depending
30
who gets
people.
there, is, can they get out? Yeah. It's not a mobility issue, but we're going to need additional oxygen
We
boxes.
might need it.
That then, and the county actually has special units and things that we can actually have deployed if we ever have
And
something
don't
like
you need to
that.
know which units have stored oxygen in them, because that can be explosive,
That,
right?
yep.
Yeah.
What is that?
Well, we're
So we don't
looking-
need to have all the, we can
Right.
work on that
If
offline.
we can work on that
Yeah,
as
we
we
can work
go, yeah,
offline.
we can work through
Kind of narrow down
this.
some of
Because
that
there's
stuff.
so few people, we can actually call them up and say, hey, you're on the special needs list.
That's it?
That's
Oh,
about
Do you need
Wow. That's not
mobility
many at all.
help? Oh, yeah, we're,
We don't need a whole nother medical history. We don't need that.
yeah, we don't
Yeah.
want the medical history, but are you on oxygen? Do you need?
Just something to keep, it's, what do they want everybody, what do they want the outside people to know to keep them safe?
That's
Correct.
it?
Yeah, I was gonna say,
It's like
Exactly.
you're volunteering this information for
Yeah.
your own health and
That's what I'm saying,
safety.
you put it in their hands, what do you want them to know? Like, if someone comes in to help you, what do you want them to know?
Right.
Take my oxygen, or whatever
Right.
it is I need, it's in your hands to tell me what you need.
So
So
there's
it's not prying
some folks
necessarily, it's
are,
just asking.
have walkers or wheelchairs, yet there are some people who are bedridden.
Right.
Yeah.
There's one, I'm not sure about your facility, I know place one, I don't know if the gentleman's still there or not. There's somebody on an upper floor who is bedridden. There is no mobility for him, or well, at the time was no mobility for him at all. His wife had to do a lot of stuff, and of course she wasn't able to literally pick him up. So that's the kind of stuff we have to know. Is okay. Not only that, but we can't just slide his bed out the door either.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen and go down steps. So those are kind of special needs things. Yeah, if you have anybody like that,
Right.
Yeah.
those are kind of things we need to know is what those needs are. What help do they need? And I think Karen put it a very good way.
Yeah.
I like the way she described it. Good question.
Okay.
I'll have them registry.
What,
You guys do?
I think
Right.
we're fine with that. Next was assigned floor captains. Unfortunately, I think this is going to be an issue. We have floor captains that pass out information and stuff like that, but somebody to register who might be on the floor and who might not be on the floor might be a little bit more difficult for us. Our rules state if the fire alarm goes off, what the unit owner is supposed to do, obviously the field, the door, is there smoke in the hallway? If you have smoke in your unit, you do not open your door to the hallway, you vent it out unless there's a fire, and then you get the heck out.
Get out and shut the door.
Hit the button and shut the door, leave it unlocked, so that, you don't have to crash in and hit it with an axe. You can just turn the knob and do your thing. But right now, that's been I would say, for us, it's a challenge to have a floor captain. I think it would be even a more challenging thing where the people aren't as long-term.
Yeah, but their turnover, I think Steve like said before, the plays one, the amount of turnover there, floor captains were just too difficult for them.
And with us, it's not a matter of the turnover, it's more a matter of either a person's working or they're retired and age can be an issue. And we just haven't, we have floor captains now, but like I said, what they do is
Push
we'll
papers on the
distribute
door.
pamphlets and stuff like that. If there's a fire safety meeting that Mike is going to be at, for those who don't do email or get a VOLA report on the phone, we actually have a list of those that we take and we actually put a physical copy at their door. But that's the extent of the floor captain. We will work on it,
Yeah.
but it's something that I couldn't snap my finger and say, hey, next month, we got floor captains. Which just doesn't seem to be,
Some people don't
Rolling
want that
along.
responsibility.
oh yeah, definitely.
Because if you're handing out information, you can do it on your own schedule. You can get up early, or you can go, do it when you get home from work. If it's a fire, that's a 24/7
Right.
responsibility, and people may not, I could understand why they
And-
wouldn't want to undertake it.
I like the idea of a floor captain in a high-rise office situation where one person in the office is either the manager or director of that floor can
Oh, yeah.
maintain the floor,
Most
but
I mean, when you work in well, at least in Center City, all the buildings I was in, we had to have a floor captain in our office.
Right.
Make sure everybody get out, try to get the lawyers out of their office for a fire alarm.
oh yeah, no, they're billing hours. No. Two
be
more
right- I'll be
minutes.
right
I
with
need
you.
another $100.
Yeah, we've only got one business down to, I think it's PayPal does that, but then they have 3 floors in one building. Most of the other office buildings, you may have 5 or 6 different tenants on one floor.
Sure.
And not one of them will care about what the others don't. That's the unfortunate part.
Yeah, that's kind of a sad state of where our society is going more than anything else. You would hope that somebody with an interest and ability would step up and do it, but unfortunately, it is every man for themselves, every woman for themselves, dogs and cats on their own.
Fire, yeah.
So let's, at some point, we should talk more
Okay,
down the
yeah.
road of what other things could we possibly do if there's a fire, something like that. Talking to the neighbors, to talk to your other neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to give them the responsibility, but hey, if something comes up, start knocking on the doors of on either side of you just to get the word going. And even though you may not be responsible for the whole floor, but again, the good neighbor policy.
Take care of a neighbor's.
Yeah.
I think that would occur, because
Yeah.
the floor that I live on, you know most of the people there who come and say hello to you if you're new and things like that, and they say if you can help you and this and that, come talk, and knock on my door and all that kind of stuff. So there's one woman who's on the fire committee who lives on my floor. She's all set. I'm surprised she doesn't have her helmet on it. And she wants to run a simulated fire drill, and I went, well,
Oh, yeah.
I said, we'll work on that. I'm not sure you're going to get 8 floors to do that at one time.
I like the idea, but that's going to take a lot of planning.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's what I
yeah.
told her. And the one thing that she said to me, I couldn't answer it because that's not my specialty, but she was asking about fire extinguishers for the kitchen. Is there one or more than one that are better than another? I mean, you can go
Yes.
to like Home Depot and get a fire extinguisher.
Yes, for homes, we still recommend an ABC extinguisher. They're typically what's called dry chemical, which means there's powder in there.
Okay.
You can buy them at the hardware stores.
Okay.
At 5, I won't go above a 10-pounder, but I'd say either 2.5 to a 5-pounder. Would you say,
Yeah,
Jim?
What about those little aerosol cans? Are they any good?
I won't recommend something
No.
that small. That's good for a fry pan,
Ah,
but
okay.
you want something a little more versatile. So that's why the ABC is nice, is that you can use it in the kitchen, you can use it on grease, oil, stuff like that for small fires.
Right.
You can use it on paper products, linens, cloth. You can use it in the living. I mean, you can grab it and use it pretty much anywhere in the house for even for electrical. And that's why it's so nice and versatile. Smaller ones for the kitchens and stuff. You don't need the big ones you see in commercial buildings and stuff like that. Just the smaller ones.
They're usually rated by ABC, 1A, I think it's 1A20BC is what
Yeah.
their rating is. That's like a 10-pounder.
Yeah,
We have a
1A
bunch
or
of those
2A.
little ones. They're
A 2A,
Yep.
They just go on the
40BC
wall.
is getting pretty
they're
heavy.
kitty,
Yes.
kid brand or whatever.
So
they call
10
it.
pounds would be,
Yeah.
would be
Ten-
a good
10,
thing
10
to have.
pound, well, I go probably a 5-pound, or they even some of them down to 2.5, which are smaller.
Mhm.
Ones about this size. But either of those, you can go with a 10-pound. They get a little bit bigger,
Okay.
but I would not go more than 10-pounder.
Your people have to be able to lift them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
what it
exactly
is.
it.
And they
You have to
know
be able
how
to
use
hold
it.
it,
Yeah.
pull the
Yes,
pin,
you have
and
to be able. So
And frankly, once it gets above needing a 5-pound, they shouldn't be in there trying to
Yeah,
do it
Exactly.
anyway.
Right.
I can agree with
Let's
that.
close the door and get the heck
And-
out. Pull that fire alarm and get the heck out.
that's the other thing. Yes.
And then-
And,
Yep.
yep, we have that in our rules, and we're going to be doing that to educate the individuals. But I like the idea of a fire extinguisher in each kitchen, because I have one in mine. It's behind a cabinet door, but it's right
You know
near
where it
the.
is, as
Yeah,
long
as
I
you
know
know where it
exactly
is.
where it is,
And it-
and I can grab it,
Yeah.
and I can hit.
Is it
We-
between the fire and the door to get out?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
That's what we look for.
yeah.
yeah. You don't want it on the other side of the stove where the fire may start.
Oh, no,
You
no,
don't wanna
no.
get
You-
trapped
If
over
you
there.
came,
Yeah.
if you came to my place, I would show you my kitchen. Here's where my fire extinguisher is, right there.
Would people need help explaining how to use them?
Correct,
In
well,
one
well,
of
that's
your
where,
training sessions?
that's where we'll
Yeah.
have meetings, and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the
That's-
fire committee, and,
That's
Yeah.
why I would like to, because
Have
you
some
had
of that,
offered that
yeah.
last time to give a presentation on that, and once we get everybody on the same page, I would like to do that.
Yeah,
And they have followed up since our last meeting, asking about that.
So,
yeah, good.
Yep.
Great.
and then the other question that came up is a blanket.
the fire blanket
Yeah,
for the stove.
stove.
No.
Yes,
Yeah.
No.
because
ones
they
it's
sell on
spilling
TV,
an
I think I've seen them.
oil-filled pan onto the floor. would
Yeah.
be just as bad as accidentally with the
Put a
blanket.
that's-
lid on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Put a lid on
lid.
it, not a blanket, a lid.
Yeah. Blankets, I would think, I don't know how big they are, but, you know, by the time you unfold them and you know,
If you go do something like that,
Yeah.
that's when you're grabbing the extinct. If you go do something like that, might as well.
Might as well.
And you're not going for a lid or something of the others first.
Yeah.
That's when you go for extinguisher instead.
Right.
The other problem is some people with the old days where they try and fan it and everything else. Well, now what you're doing is the blanket may not catch on fire, but now you're fanning the
Fanning the
fire.
fire and make it.
Giving it
that's going over
oxygen.
here,
Yeah.
while the
Yeah.
blanket's over here.
Yeah, biggest thing, especially for grease fires, assume any oil-based thing on a stove, don't use water.
Yeah.
That's the
Right.
biggest thing.
Oh, no.
And they just call those flash fires. And again, we'll go through that when we do the training
and,
stuff.
Sure, that's something the whole community can benefit from, having you come over and do a presentation to let the community know, hey, and once everybody gets serious about it, and it's in the front of their head instead of the back of their head, there'll be more awareness, more receptive to you coming and doing multiple trainings.
Yeah, we can absolutely do that. And I know I have people with fire experience there too.
Well,
Hey,
my
not
days
just- wait.
my days of carrying people down steps are long gone.
But you have knowledge here that you
Yes.
can definitely share.
Oh, yes.
My experience in fighting fires is 911.
That works too.
And that's-
I'm good with that too.
Lately, that's.
Hopefully you don't have a lot of experience doing that,
Exactly.
I think,
Okay.
are we ready to move on to the
Sure, move on.
accomplishments?
Yes.
Are we
No, do you have
okay with that?
anything to,
Unless you have,
that you need to request from us or anything?
Yeah, I had written down last time, I think that it's December 1st, you were going to have like no tables in the hallways. So
I
is that
am
an accomplishment
happy
now?
to report, and I don't know if your code enforcement officer went through, or you went through yourself. It was a challenge, it was a follow-up, and it was a finding out that not half, but maybe a quarter of the furniture that was at the end of the hallway didn't belong to the people that were on either
Anybody?
side.
Oh, really?
So there was
Which is
just,
fair.
it was old stuff that they just left there because it was convenient for them to put their groceries down, turn and unlock their door and move in and grab their groceries and go in. So it really wasn't theirs. We just went through, I think I walked both buildings 4 times to make sure that there was nothing there. Plus, we've gotten rid of the umbrella stands, the vases with the fake flowers in them, I guess they're called tchotchkes or little decor items. They're all gone. Right now, you walk down, the only thing you see in a hallway is a mirror or a painting at the end of the hallway.
That's it.
One thing I did want to bring up earlier, you say you have a lot of snowbirds.
Yes.
Do you have a list of those?
Those, I don't think we have a list of, but here,
We can
let me,
probably-
yeah, I can.
I'm sure we can.
Because
get-
if we know we got 15 or 20 apartments that are vacant,
Right.
we don't have to mess with them right away.
Good point.
Oh, yeah,
Great
that's an
point, yeah.
excellent idea. Yeah.
Yeah,
Save a lot of time in an
Mm-hmm.
emergency.
yeah.
Well, not only that, if they're on the list of needing help,
Yeah.
but it's
Oh, right.
vacant,
But it's vacant.
we
then you go-
eliminated it. We don't have to
Yeah.
knock the door down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a great
Oh,
point.
Great idea.
Great point.
I love that.
Yeah, tell the snowbirds it'll save their door from being knocked down.
Yeah,
They won't come back to a.
yeah, big hole around the doorknob.
What TV?
Yeah. But yeah, I'm very happy to report that because that was a personal challenge I took on to get those, the furniture out of the hallways. And there are a couple people that don't talk to me very friendly anymore, but
Aw.
hey,
for the good
it's
of
all part of
everybody.
being a resident, and
Keeping things safe.
don't stomp your feet and say you want that toy. Realize that you can't have that toy. And that's basically how I approached it.
The unfortunate part is, for those particular residents, they're the ones who go remember it's there. So when they come out of their door, they just make a turn. They won't trip over at all. It's the residents down the hall further that are going to trip over their stuff as they try to get out.
Yep.
Being in an HOA is, sometimes you have to go to those meetings with a whip and a chair. You know, it's It's ridiculous. And you wonder if people actually lived before, like had a house. And when you go to do something, to like try and fix something, well, everybody's got an opinion, but like the roof is leaking. Well, you got to fix the roof. You can have all the opinions you want, but the people on the 8th floor are getting wet.
Yeah, the
But
guy
you
on the
can't
first
convince
floor is
somebody.
not
He
gonna.
doesn't want
Right.
And they don't care.
Yeah.
We're not gonna spend
Spending
money, I don't want my
money,
money
yeah.
spent on that.
No,
It's a great
You're
point,
right,
though,
go
too.
live
If we
on
were in
your
a
floor.
single-family dwelling, we'd fix the roof, like,
Correct.
we don't even
Yeah.
think of it, right?
But it's
You
just,
wouldn't
it's
even,
amazing.
you wouldn't even think about it.
And the things that people complain about, it's just amazing.
Well, they're not complaining about the furniture in the hallway.
They are not.
I actually was talking to a resident this weekend who talked about the furniture being removed and was like, no, it was a good thing to do. It was smart.
Mhm. Oh, good.
So
Excellent.
kudos to you. Well done.
Thanks.
That's all I got as far as additional
Anything
ideas.
additional for ideas for safety?
Well, I had mentioned earlier, now that we're getting the fire committee up and running, we'll have a more formal way of getting you there on specific times, because the fire committee can rent the hall to have a meeting. We'll just need to know when you're available. I mean, if you're daytime, nighttime, early evening, whatever, we'll have to coordinate
Yeah,
that.
we'll make
Now
it
that we
work
have a
around you.
committee, it's gonna be easier to do.
And we can definitely do that, even if there are times when you might have to have the same session presented more than once, maybe a daytime one, then an evening one, and whatever you might need. And again, whatever topics, I'd say start with what are people most interested in. Fire extinguisher, we talked about being one of them,
Right.
their use and such. And is there anything specific that anybody wants to bring up? Hey, maybe we should talk about this. We can go into topics like that. One thing you may also want to think about, which then we have to lead in the gym for, you guys don't do the condos, but Brad and I'll do the apartments.
Are there rentals in the condos?
There's rentals in the condos we do.
Okay. So if there's anything dealing with, let's say, rental inspections or anything that sometimes maybe myself or my fire inspectors don't do, but maybe the codes folks will go in there for.
Okay.
Or actually, we could also probably talk about permits and what residents need to do for applying for permits for doing certain things in the condos or the apartments. The apartments, it should be the tenants doing it, although they've tried. But it's usually the complex does that. But then in your case, sometimes it'll be that the residents themselves want to do things or hire contractors. Probably good to know what the process is for doing that.
Doing it the proper way. We do have something, and I can share that with you. It's called an ARC form,
Yeah.
which is, you know that.
He's
specifically.
familiar with it.
You're the expert.
Well, I'm not the expert on it. I just call Linda. Do they have an ARC form?
Yeah, yeah.
If they don't have it, they don't get a permit
Yeah.
until they do that.
I
It'd be
know
good for all your
because-
residents to know about that process. Because correct me if I'm wrong, we just had someone recently who
Today.
that Jim had explained to him. Oh, you don't even come. You got to go back to Linda first.
There's somebody
go back
in
to
our-
your association first
Want
to
an
start the
electrical
process.
permit.
If your association says no, don't even bother coming to us.
Yeah, sure.
The answer is no.
Yeah, well, there is a whole procedure, and there's all kinds of
It's
paperwork.
curious what unit number.
And it's right outside the
I'm-
office door.
Speechless.
Biting my
That might be a good training thing too, of not just fire safety, but just other safety things that you have to be aware of.
I'm,
So,
He wants to
just-
put a 220 amp circuit in for his dryer, which I told him today has to be ventless. Can't be a regular dryer because there's no
Right.
way to vent them. So
he didn't know that? It says it right in the ARC form. It says it in our rules and
he didn't do the
guidelines.
ARC form yet. That's why I sent him back to
okay.
Linda.
Oh, okay.
So they don't know the process
Yes,
yet.
they don't know the process, but they should know the
new.
process.
What is the op form?
It's basically if you do any architectural modification, like open a wall, close a wall. Some people have converted closets into laundry rooms. That all requires any electrical work. If you put outlets in, Not so much the outlets, but the wiring has to be checked. I just had a breaker box put in because I had an issue when we were out of power and my breakers kept tripping. And it wasn't because of that, it was the loss of power sent an arc in and it moved two of the breakers away. And I'm trying to figure out why I can't get things to run. I had an electrician come in, I filled the arc for him out, he got the permits, just got an inspection last week on it, and had a new breaker box put in with modern breakers. You figure 1974, 75 breakers, they're pretty old. But the architectural form covers everything. It lets them know that we have those asbestos popcorn ceilings and that you're not supposed to scrape them out, you're supposed to encapsulate them, and so forth. Let's see, what else did I do? Oh, we had to conform to the need for a separate breaker for the refrigerator, and there's extra breakers now
So
that
is
you
the
need.
ARC form something that's,
They
code
don't, I
enforcement, or
don't
is
think
it
you
you?
see it.
Sometimes,
We-
yes, sometimes we get them.
Okay.
oh, okay. So it's
Especially if it's a
something that-
major renovation, but she sends me the,
Oh, she
like
sends you the
15 or
whole
18
thing.
pages.
And-
It's not township form, it's.
It's
It's
their
our
form,
form,
the
it's our
condo
form.
association
Oh, yeah,
form.
because the
I got it.
condo association, you are responsible for everything within your four walls.
Yeah, drywall.
But if you start to do work, you have to be aware of codes too, because you need 5/8 drywall if you take the drywall, and this is getting into the weeds a little bit, but if you take the drywall off on the wall where the hallway is, well, you have to put now 5/8 drywall, a thicker, better fire rated, same in the kitchen. Anything between units has to require now, instead of the 1/2 inch, it has to be 5/8. And it all has to be inspected, it all has to be in the ARC form, and it's specified, it tells a contractor what he's supposed to do, they check everything off, and if things require permits, then we come down and get permits, but we usually don't let a person get a permit until the ARC form's filled out properly. And then this way it doesn't waste time for a person coming down saying, I need a permit to do some electrical work. Well, did you fill out the ARC form? So,
Now, for the apartments, it's a lot easier because tenants should be doing that stuff on their own. That
Right.
goes through.
Renters is a whole different.
Not to say they haven't.
Sure,
We've come
why
across
not?
where people mess with outlets and smoke detectors and other things without going through their maintenance folks. But now that may be an educational thing you guys take back and share with your tenants and drill it into their heads that you're not supposed to be touching this stuff. Unlike the condos where it's the residents can start that process on their own. The apartments, correct me if I'm wrong, are different in that
Yeah,
they need to contact maintenance or management, and those are the people who take care of that work. Would I be correct with that?
Yeah. And they know. It's in their lease, and it's explained to them. It's the same problem these folks have with HOA rules from time to time.
yeah, they go brain dead and that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And then, magically they just, oh. Yeah,
Yeah.
as soon as we asked you about it, you magically forgot, but yeah.
Yeah.
They knew what they were doing the whole time. Anything else there? All right, life safety code update. This is something that came up at prior meetings. The question came up about future code updates. Do we see stuff change for sprinklers? So Karen actually asked me about it again. Did you want to share that for me? We're gonna just talk about it.
Well, yeah, I think you should. I think you should. So they're starting to see actual dates showing up. You know how council adopted the Appendix M that required the sprinklers? It was optional, if you will. The newer code books, and I think they mentioned this already to council once, since we retracted that, rescinded that Appendix M. But I know Jim and Mike brought it up to council after that there's a date that's starting to show up in these code books now.
And it's going in the books, it's not in the
It's not
appendix,
gonna
so
be-
now it is a code.
So it's just something to be aware of. And
And when would that become, what year is
What
that
year is it? Are they
anticipated to
showing,
become
like-
effective?
Well, it's already effective in some cases. The 2021 International Fire Code has a new addition to it. In the body of the code, with high rises, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, and we'll show it there, but you can see we're starting to progress towards requiring it. They say where Appendix M, which is the one that was repealed,
Was optional.
has not been adopted, existing high rises that do not previously approved, and there's a whole bunch of wording here. It didn't put in there completely taking the appendix and putting it in the body yet. Though you can see where they took parts of it and are starting putting in the body.
And is it retroactive to existing buildings?
Yes,
Yes,
this is
fire
actually, this is the four existing high rises.
Okay, and then.
So that's for existing
And is there
buildings.
an alternative? Like, if you don't have a sprinkler, you have to have something XYZ instead?
This is for sprinkling high rises, so it's going to be a sprinkler system of some sort. Those alternatives can vary. Now, the life safety code, this has already been adopted by the township, I don't know how many years ago. I
Long
didn't
time
have
ago.
time to look it up when it was originally.
Long time
And
ago.
Long
NFPA,
time
a long
ago.
time ago.
Before my time.
Yeah.
Life safety code is NFPA 101. That actually already requires in all high-rise buildings, which includes residential, shall be protected throughout by an approved supervised automatic sprinkler system. The 2018 did not include a specific date. The change to the 2021, same exact paragraph, except they added, at the very end, they added by January 1 of 2033. It will be a supervised automatic sprinkler system. Now, with 2021's NFPA 101, they further made some additional changes. One of the alternative options you could have done for sprinklers before was what they called an engineered life safety system. It's another way of, it gave you different alternatives for putting the sprinklers in. They're actually limiting that with 2021 now. They say if it's been previously approved or implemented, you can keep doing it. But that's the only way it's going to be, shall not be required in buildings that have previously approved or implemented engineered life safety systems.
Now, what's an engineered
Yeah.
life safety system? That's what I was.
That's an alternative that Talking Sprinkler Company, that they can do different things. You put just a sprinkler head in one section of the area and put other safety devices throughout.
So
That
Michael-
further limits stuff. This is some of the alternatives and options where you're saying that they need, the complexes should just had a professional come out and an engineer come out and look at and see what kind of different options there are. They're taking some of those lesser options away. Basically, that addition to the NFPA 101 is saying if you already had it previously approved or it's already been implemented or you're in the process of implementing it, you can keep going. But if you haven't done anything with it yet, the options for an engineered life safety system aren't going to be allowed then.
Oh, I see. So if you, either you've already opted into that,
Mm-hmm.
and if you haven't, then it's no longer an option. You must proceed on the sprinkler
With,
line.
with something more with your sprinkler system.
And I'm sorry, Rick, then what is the timing? So you either have started down the path of an engineered life safety system by this date, or
The-
you don't have that option anymore? What's that?
The code says an automatic sprinkler system shall not be required, that's a full automated sprinkler system, in buildings that have previously approved and implemented engineered life safety systems that's developed in accordance with, in this case, is code number 31.3.5.9.4.
But has
The
that?
old code was simply said an automatic should not be required, and what they added in wording was any that have previously been approved is what they added now. Before, it allowed those engineered life safety systems. The new 2021 change is if you have had it previously approved and implemented or implementing it, you can have them.
So do either Plymouth Hill or Place One have engineered
They
life?
proposed nothing.
But the ship has sailed, is what I'm
The
I'm
ship
getting
has-
at, right?
the
So
ship
if
has
you're not
sailed.
on the ship already, it's
Yes.
sailed. Like, there's no,
Right.
like, oh, but you've got till July, like, it's sailed.
Yes.
No, it's,
Yep, I got you. Okay, thank you.
Rather than the last year, rather than them going down this route and planning it, they chose to have you guys repeal it. repeal the amendment. So,
2030.
not saying that's tying their hands a lot, but it takes one more option. There's still a bunch of options, but it takes an option off the table.
And these
Not
sprinkler
to say that they
systems,
would have
are they
done that
per
anyhow.
unit or just more generalized?
This still would have put a sprinkler head at least in every unit.
Not in common spaces, not, I mean.
Still within common spaces too, yes.
No, but I mean, like, there's no, like, put them in a common space and puts,
not in the
that,
units.
put it in a common space and put something else in individual units, that was part of the, too late for that now.
Yes, and part of the engineer life safety system, correct me if I'm wrong in this, include at least one head in every unit
Yeah, so they could have came right
versus
about the door.
the major rooms.
You
The
know,
living is-
in the
walk-in.
In the
hallway.
hall. I
Or if
know.
there's any rooms along that hall, they could have put one in there. Now, if they don't have a room that's farther away, it's too late now. Now you got to put one in there somehow.
Yeah. Again, this may not necessarily have affected them either way because whatever they might have, what might have ever been planned or engineered, they may have chosen to do an engineer life safety system anyhow. So it's just one of the options came off the table. The big one there, like Karen mentioned, is with the NFPA 101's 2021 edition, they actually added a date. And it's not like the IFC had in its appendix of you have
12 years.
12 years, you have 1 year to at least submit an idea of what your thoughts or your plan are. Even if it was just saying, well, we're going to do this in 8 years. That could be enough of a plan. And then you have the 12 years to implement it. This is now giving a hard date in the code.
Okay, and you wanted to say something?
Your council still has the option on when, how, if, how much, with exceptions, to adopt the code or not.
Code's already adopted.
You can make it,
We would have to repeal the code.
You have to repeal 101.
Because it's already
And
part of
101
our,
is-
it's already in our ordinances. So we would have to take affirmative action to undo something that was done decades ago or something, maybe? I don't know.
Decades, probably.
Decades ago,
And
before Jim
applies-
Wallace's time.
you've adopted the code to say that you proactively adopt every new iterance of the code forever?
We adopted the
Every-
code, so every time the code
New
changes,
additions or something.
say
like
even
that.
building codes, whenever those codes nationally change, they apply to our township. Like, we don't go back and say, oh, you know, the new building code or the new fire code came out. Do we want to adopt it or do we want to stick with the one from 1970? It just the
It's like all
ordinance is
successive
read so
editions.
that,
Got it. So you guys have like an
Standing.
adoption in perpetuity standing?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, and we rely on those national standard. I mean, people,
all
councils
all
before
buildings.
us
Yeah.
and before these employees were here, made a decision that rather than adopting our own codes and coming up with our own stuff, we would go with what they would go with what the national
Building codes.
groups.
Got just a lot of
Advise.
municipalities that we deal with adopt the code, adopt, a code year comes out, they review it and they choose whether or not to adopt it. And then they could adopt it in full, they can adopt it in part, they can adopt it with exceptions.
I guess our township didn't go with that
Gotcha.
version.
No.
And so now it
That's
just
all
kind of,
successive.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that-
and
It's
honestly,
like you say.
I've never seen anyone that's adopted a code in perpetuity.
Oh, I don't know of many that don't, to be honest with you, around here. But it can get real messy when you start having to have somebody sit there and then the council has to go through every code change that's in every book. Because basically every page of every book, if you guys want to see the books, there's some of them over there. You'd have to find every change that's in there and either adopt, exclude it, what have you, for each thing. Now, a lot of the code books for existing or pre-existing stuff, especially for the building code side, it's actually in the code that, and actually in the state for the UCC, United Construction Codes. I'm sorry.
Uniform Construction
Thank
Code.
you.
yeah, I kept saying building
Let's-
code because I couldn't think of the acronym, the UCC uniform.
For lack of a better word, I'm going to say grandfathered some things in. There are some codes, whether it be from the UCC or from an NFPA or the International Code Council, which is ICC, which is who does the fire code that we adopted. There are certain things in there that actually do mention existing specifically. this is one of the things. The reason we bring this up, and like I said, we've been talking about, is you can unadopt the NFPA 101. I think that's a very bad idea because there are so many different things that our code is
It's
working
every
for.
building in the township,
It's
right?
every building, and it deals with not just sprinkler system. It deals with emergency lights, exit signs,
Well, I mean,
all kinds of stuff. But it's
my
not just
feeling
that
as
code.
a
It's really-
council person is that I don't have expertise in these areas. And I think probably prior council figured that as well. So rather than becoming experts in areas, these codes are developed by experts who get together, probably bang each other's heads together, negotiate, yell, go out to dinner, yell some more, and then they come up with what they're going to have.
Yep.
But they're experts. They're
Right, they're
fire experts.
national governing bodies for a reason.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're engineers, they're lawyers, they're first responders, they're fire experts, I mean, whatever they are, construction experts, electrical, those people get together to save someone like me or Lynn from having to make decisions like that, because we don't know, you know?
So I think the more the point we're trying to make here is something to consider. Is that it's coming down the pike. We see it coming already. The other code is NFPA 1. We did not adopt, but to share some information with all of you is there's two different fire codes out there. There's NFPA's version, which is 1, and then there's the International Fire Code. They're very similar, but that's what we adopted,
IFC.
the IFC.
International Fire Code.
NFPA 1, which is the original fire code, already has it in theirs, in their 21 version, that for high-rise buildings, for existing high-rise buildings, shall be protected. It doesn't say residential or business, commercial, and that. It's all existing high-rise buildings shall be protected throughout. So they already have it in theirs too. They actually added an interesting one onto theirs, though.
All right, so
But
you're
just
going
to
fast for
point
me
out,
here.
Okay.
Plymouth
So-
has not adopted NFP 1.
NFPA 1.
NFPA 1, but
I'm just-
Plymouth has adopted the
The
IFC.
IFC, correct. So that one's also changed. So I guess more or less, I just want to put it out to everybody here so they realize that although we have nothing that's with Appendix M being repealed, don't think right now that you won't be required down the pike to put sprinklers in. It's coming down the pike where we're starting to see it now. Life Safety Code now has it in there. They give you a date you have to have it done by.
It's an F.
Have we adopted the
NFPA
life safety
101.
code?
You have adopted, but
It's
So
NFPA
Plymouth has
101.
adopted the life
It's not in
safety
the IFC
code.
yet, but it's coming.
It's probably going to come in the IFC
Probably the next
because,
cycle.
yep, they already took some of the information and put it into the body.
It's not in our code
They're
yet.
expecting it's going to be coming and being put in the body of the IFC probably before 2033 also.
Okay, so,
So what we're trying to
so
share is that it's
IFC
coming
and
about.
life safety code applied to everything in Plymouth. NFPA 1 is not a
Does
Plymouth.
not. I'm just bringing it up to share some other information that there's another code out there that has already gone that way. That's
Okay.
the trend. So
probably
it came up
good. So
as
it's like
thing,
probably
codes are
becoming,
trending that
yeah.
way.
All
Building code will probably get caught up to that also when the IFC does, to start going that way also for putting stuff in the body of the code, not in appendices.
Which one has
So-
said 2033 for the sprinklers?
The
Which-
one we
And
did not adopt.
No, the one.
Oh, that's the
no,
NFPA
no.
1.
NFPA 101 says January 1, 2033.
And have we adopted that?
Yes.
NFPA
Oh,
101, that's
we
life
did.
safety
Oh,
code.
That's the life safety.
That's
Oh,
life
that
safety
is
code.
the same as life safety
That is
code.
life
Yes.
safety code.
Thank you.
Okay, so it is in there.
NFPA 1, which we did not adopt,
Oh.
actually says
They have one,
they will
one,
have it. They don't even put a date.
They have
You
one,
have to
one,
do it
one.
now. Yeah, one
NFPA has one, and NFPA
1 is the
101.
first code that NFPA ever did.
Okay.
And then there's probably not 1,000 code numbers out there, but there's probably hundreds and hundreds of numbers they use for different things.
Yeah. And we just took a seminar on sprinklers, and they're already working on the 2025 version,
Yes.
Book already?
code book, getting it, changing things and everything, so when 2025 gets here, it's ready.
The guy even said
Okay,
2021.
so
As
life
soon as
safety
2021
code,
got approved,
AKA
and then we usually adopt
NFPA
it within the
101.
year or so
That is-
that they actually release it. Once it's approved, they're reforming the committee and already working on the next edition after that. So they're already working on the 2024 editions of the ISC.
2025.
Or 2025.
And just so I'm clear,
NFPA
NFPA 101 is also known as the Life
Life
Safety
Safety
Code.
Code.
They're the same thing, different
Yes.
names.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Technically, it's the number, but then we always put a more common name to it.
Right.
Yeah, so we refer to it as Life Safety Code.
Like NFPA 72, which is the fire alarm codes, which is
Oh.
also
Okay.
the building code uses NFPA 72 for, on the ICC side.
Then there's one electricians use, what's
72.
the electric code?
72.
That's 72?
NFPA 72. Or no,
These-
no,
that's not-
77. 72
Then
is,
there's numbers. So everybody knows, the electricians know the National Electric Code, called NEC. Do we all remember I don't remember it's 77, but there's numbers assigned to it, and they're the official things they go by. They're up to numbers well into the hundreds, so there's hundreds of different codes out there. They get very specific on different things. They have some just for air conditioning units. There's codes specifically for that. But there's a whole bunch of things out there. But again, the reason we're bringing this up is put it in your heads. Just start considering it now. It's going that way. So planning will be key and essential. We highly recommend at some point you start looking at it because I don't think things will get cheaper with it either. So that's why I wanted to bring it up, just to let you know that with the most recent changes, there's stuff going into codes where they're adding more and more into the bodies of these different codes. And they're adding it more into codes. He said you'll eventually start seeing it probably in the building code at some point. Once it's in the fire code, it's going to start getting added to the building code and other places.
And 2033 is in the Life Safety Code?
Yes.
That's the year? Okay.
It's not going away.
It's not going away.
No.
That's why we wanted to bring it up to say it looks like a lot of the codes are starting to veer towards, for high-rise sprinklering, they're adding existing stuff in. Other codes out there still give exclusion to grandfathering certain things in. You have this wall here, you want to take down part of the wall. If you're doing it brand new, you might have to do this. If it's an existing building, you don't have to do all that. They still grandfather some certain things in. Looks like sprinklers, they're not doing that. They're actually going back and saying existing buildings are going to have to do it.
Is it the kind of thing L&I could give waivers for, or not? I shouldn't be asking you. But just out of curiosity, you don't know if that's even something they could ever waive or not.
L&I, I don't think it
It's not-
addresses this.
It's not their purview. It's
No,
not, it's
it's
not.
just-
the only thing
them.
LMI is going to waive or get involved in is
Equal or better.
accessibility.
Oh, accessibility.
Yes.
Now, that's the only thing you can go to Harrisburg for a waiver for.
Okay.
And for fire and life safety code, stuff
ADA.
like that, there's accessibility, and they specifically state that anything that might be in the fire codes, life safety code, that's specifically mentioned in the building codes are adopted by L&I. Everything else is, as it's stated in, like in this case, the rest of the fire code is as is in the code, not necessarily as is in the building code. Because I think there's only a handful of things.
And this
that are
is
mentioned
something
in the
that
code.
is not within the purview of council to give waivers. You have to go higher than council for a waiver.
Also,
Well,
There's-
there's
there-
no- oh, there
there
are no
Something like
waivers.
this, there are no waivers.
There
That's
are
what
no
I was asking
waivers.
about the L&I for.
That's the
Yeah.
thing is, and if you do it for this, there's going to be another code that you're not, they're going to be putting in other stuff too. So like I said, it seems to be going down a path that in years to come, over the next probably few editions, all the other codes are all getting caught up. IFC is usually a little bit behind in FPA, usually by edition or two. Not trying to pick on them, but they
And
usually
they
are.
every 3 years as well?
They're on every 3 years.
Every year, 3
It's a year cycle.
When it hits the books for 2033, would the expectation be, for example, in a high-rise, like everyone has been sprinklered, or you have to have the plan in motion and you're making progress? Like, is that, like like you have to have sprinklers in?
The way that code reads is you have to have them in. The way our appendix was before is, within the first year, you have to submit a plan. Again, the plan could be, by 2030 is when we're going to actually start doing this. 2031, we're going to have this. Just a general plan of what's your game plan? How you going to be doing it? It doesn't mean you have to submit all the documents and have the contract. Just a plan of what you're planning on doing, and then you'd have the following 11 years or up to 12 years to actually implement it. That we kind of like that one, that you're not really in violation until that deadline comes in. Do you have them in or not? Now, I think we could probably work with somebody if it's in progress but it's not quite finished yet. Could we work with stuff? I think we would be able to do that. I don't know what your opinions are.
Look at
Been
me.
there?
Sounds like a
2033, I'm not going to be
lawyer
sitting here, I can tell you
question,
that.
but- What's that? You're not going to be here?
Not at this table in 2033, no.
Well, I won't be on council. I'm term limited, so we're all term limited on council.
With construction stuff, there are times when you're supposed to be done by this time, and have we extended permits beyond their time limit if they're just not finished?
Yeah.
Did
they-
one today.
yes. Yes,
So
they
there
can-
will be times when if they're still working on it, but they're just not quite done yet.
But I suspect you'd want to see a
We
good
just-
faith effort toward completion.
Correct.
that's
Then
That's
that
what we
might be
look
a
at. That's what we
conversation.
look at.
So let's say they had most of it done, but not quite all of it. Maybe they had another couple floors due, and that was it. Could we, through codes, could we extend that? I think that would be within our purview to say, yes, the work still is ongoing, but as long as it keeps moving, the permit can stay open.
With COVID, we extended them years because
Had to, yeah.
you just couldn't get anybody to come in to do it. They weren't allowed.
Yeah,
So-
it was against the state regulations to
Right,
even
so
go in
we
and
would
do work
extend
for
all those
people.
permits. And it's always a case-by-case basis.
That makes sense.
Like today, I extended the guy until May from a 2021 permit. He's got everything ready to go, but he can't get the contractor out there because the contractor had a heart attack.
Oh, my,
So
that's sad.
I understand that. I'm not going to say, well, now you got to come get a new permit.
And state Illinois does allow us some leniency to do those things. They have actually hard deadlines of, here's how long a permit is good for. We have the ability to actually extend that with their guidelines as far as, here's the reasons why you're allowed to. Then ultimately, it's up to the municipality to choose to do so. And we've done that, so I don't see that being a problem. But as far as the code update, that's what, again, we want to share with everybody. The codes come down to Pike. I would definitely not recommend waiting until the end. Start working on it at some point in time.
Do you think when it does hit the IFC, it's going to still have the 2033, or would they give 12 years? Like, it could be
That I don't know.
2036, or, you never know when that, I don't know.
I don't know.
It's liable to come out and say, you got to do it, period. You got 5 years to do it or something like
It could put the same
that.
date
yeah.
in, yeah, I just didn't
Yeah.
know if they would.
Or less, to your point, right?
Well, I wouldn't go less than 5 years because you're probably looking at 2 years in design. You know,
Yeah, and
Or it could be
Illinois, the
less
state
than
of Illinois,
2033, right?
Mm-hmm. But I don't think it would be.
Yeah, okay.
and state of Illinois for a lot of the code stuff, it's the most restrictive takes precedence. I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, like all the codes that we had prior to the UCC, as long as they're more restrictive, we can keep them. Once they come equal to or less than the UCC, then they go away.
All right, well, so I suspect that's not what you were hoping to hear, but any reactions or thoughts?
Not our doing.
Yeah, no.
This time it's not us.
We're talking about a hypothetical still here. It's not in the code that you're subject to.
It is.
It is the code
It's already
we're subject
adopted.
to.
It's already enforced. It's already enforceable. The thing is, you're not in violation of anything until January 1, 2033.
Yeah, he said it is in the code that we adopted, the life safety code, which is,
And NFPA 101.
NFPA 101,
101.
also known as the Life Safety Code, has been
Correct.
adopted by Plymouth, and it includes the 2023 deadline.
2033.
33.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, we are 2023 now.
That's,
The hypothetical portion will be, what's the IFC going to be doing next edition?
Oh, they
How are they
could
going
make
to word
it,
it for next one?
they could make it
That'd be the
not
only
as,
hypothetical, is what are they going to do in the body of theirs? We're expecting them at some point that that's going to be in the body also.
you don't think they would be conflicting? Because we have both adopted, then what would we do?
I,
Don't know.
I don't
What
know.
we would do in that case
but
The
I
most
don't see them
restrictive?
conflicting,
for long?
No.
I don't see them conflicting at all.
they,
They'll
I
probably
doubt they would shorten the
adopt-
time.
No, they probably won't shorten the time, but they'll probably either take that time or just put it in there, you have so many years.
Just move Appendix N into the body. and
Yeah.
hope.
And I
Something like
would
that,
assume that
reword it.
those years will probably work up to 2033.
Okay.
Their next edition is what, 24?
2021, 2024 will be next one.
So we'll get around 2025.
And when did Life Safety Code do that? Is that new?
Adding the actual date in, the 2021 edition.
The 2021 edition?
The rest of the paragraph is the same as it was, except that the end of the paragraph now says by January 1, 2033.
And even though it's called the 2021 code, did it just come out? Or
We got it
They
last
completed
year.
it in 2021, so
We got it
It's-
last
sometime
year.
in
2022.
2022? Sometime in 2022?
yeah, is when they actually released it.
Yeah, I know they come
I
out
think
after.
it was towards the end of the year.
Yeah,
It's
it comes out
immediate-
Towards the end of the
after.
year, we actually got the books ourselves.
Oh, I see.
Well, we get them when they come out, but
Yes,
yeah.
yeah.
But it's, you don't have it at the beginning of 2021, was my point. The books always come out after,
Usually,
the
the
year after the
Usually
date
about a
is.
year when
the
they
ICC
publish
is usually
it.
around September of the year after,
It's numbered.
but it's numbered, right. So a 2021 book probably came out around September 2022.
Yeah. Because once they finally approve it, it goes through the whole, there's a whole process with these things.
People
And that's
vote-
not
they get to-
just,
They vote on it, right?
Yep.
And then it gets adopted and
there's a whole,
codified.
yeah, like I said, there's a whole
Printed.
process for the final year before it's adopted. They actually go through a whole process where they put it out to the public for comment and then they revise it. And then, like I said, it's about a year after that they're going to publish it. And I don't think we ever have gone back and say, it's effective as of their date.
Right.
Our stuff is always effective as of the date when it's actually published out to the public. In all fairness. Usually it's about the time we get the books. So like I said, something to be mindful of and start working towards. Again, our code enforcement folks, our partners folks, High Department will be willing to try and field any questions, see what we can help you with. I do know some vendors out there that actually do high-rise stuff. We can't recommend or tell you to go with them. We don't, how can I put it? We don't condone them necessarily. We don't push you in their direction, but we just know of some that will do that stuff. So. That's the only thing I have on code updates. Next meeting?
Next meeting.
January was supposed to be within, well, actually December, we basically skipped a whole entire meeting. So we haven't had a meeting in
We got
almost 3
closer-
months.
We got to the holidays,
Yeah. I'd like to recommend that as long as we keep kind of on track, get that meeting back, maybe do our next meeting, not again skip a whole month of the month, but maybe have something towards the end of March,
Oh, like 1 month from now?
like about a month from now.
Will we have much to talk about? you
I
think?
don't know.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to get as many
know we
meetings as we
started-
can, 'cause it's only a one-year committee, so
Yeah.
going
Well,
3 or 4
let's-
months without a meeting, we almost took 1 to 2 meetings out of the mix.
It's a
Well,
quarter of our time.
Because February only has 28 days, 27th is the end of March.
Yeah, so
Is a Monday, just like this one.
that makes sense. I mean, why don't we meet monthly? If we get to a point where there really isn't anything on an upcoming agenda, we can adjust, but maybe we stick with monthly meetings to make sure we haven't shortchanged the conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some of the small stuff that we've been talking
It's
about,
also
especially
give
with
you
you guys,
time.
we can keep wrapping up and sharing and
I would say into March or very early
very
April.
early April. We can do that. I like that idea.
Does the doodle poll work for most people?
I like to do that.
Sure.
That's
As
fine.
long as it's not a Wednesday, I'm okay.
Okay.
We can be flexible.
Wednesday's your end of March.
So what are you looking at in April?
I'll put end of March, early April, no Wednesdays.
No Wednesdays.
And then Linda can do that. Poll. Oh, is it the weather out there right here? All right.
It's,
It's like sleep. Let's roll.
Sleep.
Let's roll. Yeah, that sounds like
Oh,
sleep.
it's sleep.
Anything else for old or new business?
Just on a side
What do you
note,
think of?
I mentioned Steve before, just like they're trying to do. Do you guys ever want anyone to come in and just talk to residents? If there is any interest with that, we can do, I'm sure, we can do any fire safety kind of programs, or any general safety programs, if you guys want. Not even related to us, the committee, just general safety stuff. Let us know. We can work with you. Again, we can do a daytime one and an evening one, or whatever you guys like to do.
Okay.
Okay. If there's any topics that residents don't want to listen to you guys on, but you think maybe our codes folks, myself, Jim's folks, something like that, they can come in and hear from us in more of a meeting forum. Again, we can help you with that.
Okay.
Sometimes it becomes like, oh, more official that way.
Sure.
So,
Okay. Anything else? Go to the order? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay.
I'll second.
Very good.
Thank you guys for coming out.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Uh,